A sudden explosion in Kashmir sends shock waves across the subcontinent. Fighter jets roar across borders, leaders raise fists instead of flags, and amidst the fiery exchange between two nuclear-armed rivals, one familiar figure emerges, Donald Trump. But is he here to solve a crisis, or is he part of the storm? Welcome to Timeless America, the channel where history, diplomacy, and power collide to tell the story of a nation that shapes the world. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay informed on the global narratives that matter. All started again with a spark. On April 23, 2025, a tranquil morning in Pahalgam, a resort town in the Kashmir Valley, turned into a scene of horror. A suicide bomber struck a tourist convoy near the Aru Valley, killing 27, including 25 Hindu pilgrims, a Christian photojournalist from Kerala, and a local Muslim guide. The Resistance Front, TRF, a shadow group believed to be linked to Lashkar-e-Taiba, claimed responsibility within hours. India's response was swift, furious, and ferociously loud. On May 7th, the Indian Air Force launched Operation Sindoor, named after the sacred red powder worn by Hindu women, symbolizing not just retaliation, but religious sentiment and national pride. 3 squadrons of Rafale jets flew deep into Pakistani territory. The airstrikes targeted militant training camps in Muzaffarabad, Bahawalpur, and the outskirts of Muridki, the same location where India had earlier alleged the masterminds of the 2008 Mumbai attacks were sheltered. Satellite images released by Indian media showed smoldering ruins where camps once stood. The world held its breath. Pakistan, as always, denied involvement with the attackers, but did not stay silent. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif labeled the Indian action an act of war and vowed a fitting reply. The next day, Pakistani jets scrambled over the line of control. Dogfights were reported over Poonch and Rajouri. Artillery duels erupted in Dras and Kargil. Civilians on both sides were caught in bunkers, praying that diplomacy would not fail them. International leaders began issuing statements urging calm. But it wasn't the United Nations or the European Union that stole the headlines. It was someone else, someone both loved and loathed across borders. Donald J. Trump. Trump's re-entry into the spotlight. It was just another Tuesday in Mar-a-Lago when Donald Trump, the former U.S. president and now Republican frontrunner for the 2024 elections, addressed reporters outside his Florida estate. You know, India and Pakistan, great countries, beautiful people, lots of history, lots of problems too. I've worked with Modi. I've spoken to Imran in the past. If anyone can fix this, it's me, Trump declared with a signature smirk. The statement sent political analysts into a frenzy. Could Trump actually influence this conflict? Was he offering genuine diplomacy, or was this political theater in the lead-up to the U.S. elections? In truth, Trump's involvement in South Asia wasn't new. During his presidency, he had hosted both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and then Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan in Washington. In 2019, he controversially offered to mediate on Kashmir, a proposal India firmly rejected. Yet here he was again, re-entering the South Asian chessboard, not as a head of state, but as a wild card. Biden's White House responds. While Trump grabbed headlines, President Joe Biden's administration remained officially neutral. Secretary of State Antony Blinken issued a measured statement urging both countries to avoid escalatory actions and engage in direct dialogue. However, insiders revealed that back-channel diplomacy was already in play. The CIA had been in contact with RAW, India's Research and Analysis Wing, and ISI, Pakistan's Inter-Services Intelligence, facilitating intelligence sharing to prevent miscalculations. But Trump, as usual, couldn't be sidelined. In a surprise move, he proposed a trilateral peace summit to be held in Dubai. While India initially dismissed the idea, pressure from Washington and growing civilian casualties on the border began softening stances. Media war and public sentiment television screens. In India, were lit with hashtags like Mash Crush Pakistan and Vash Sindoor Revenge. Across the border, Pakistani anchors accused India of genocidal warmongering and rallied behind Jakar Defend Kashmir. In the U.S., the Trump proposal became a dividing line between media houses. Right-wing outlets praised his initiative as decisive leadership, while liberal networks questioned the legality and wisdom of a non-sitting president engaging in foreign diplomacy. Yet public opinion, especially among Indian and Pakistani diasporas in the West, was surprisingly receptive. Social media campaigns emerged demanding peace, highlighting shared cultures, histories, and a mutual exhaustion with perpetual hostility. The nuclear shadow behind all this lay a chilling reality. Both India and Pakistan possess nuclear arsenals. Statements from military officials on both sides hinted at readiness for any scenario. India's Agni-V missiles and Pakistan's Shaheen-3 systems were reportedly placed on high alert. The cold start doctrine, India's controversial strategy for quick strikes, was referenced in leaked documents. World leaders grew visibly anxious. China, which shares borders with both nations and strategic partnerships with Pakistan, offered to host peace talks. Russia called for immediate UN Security Council intervention. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres warned of the gravest crisis of the decade. Operation Mirage. Pakistan's retaliation on May 10th, Pakistan initiated Operation Mirage, targeting forward Indian army posts and airstrips in Ladakh and Jammu. The attack was more symbolic than strategic, but deadly nonetheless. 14 Indian soldiers were confirmed dead, and 8 Pakistani troops perished in retaliation. Videos of drone strikes and downed helicopters circulated online, creating an atmosphere of total war. The Trump summit in Dubai. Finally, on May 15th, the unthinkable happened. Donald Trump arrived in Dubai, flanked by security and media. After days of silent negotiation through back channels, envoys from both India and Pakistan agreed to an informal closed-door dialogue. No photos were allowed, no transcripts were released, but leaks suggested that Trump played more than just a ceremonial role. He urged both nations to consider joint anti-terror protocols and hinted at a trilateral economic corridor that could benefit Kashmir on both sides. India's delegation, while cautious, agreed to a temporary ceasefire if Pakistan dismantled TRF camps. Pakistan, in turn, demanded an end to India's alleged human rights violations in Kashmir. Ceasefire and the uncertain future. By May 20th, both nations declared a mutual ceasefire. Artillery silenced. Jets returned to base. Troops were withdrawn from advanced positions. The world exhaled, but the peace was fragile, tenuous, and conditional. India resumed limited visa services. Pakistan reopened some airspace. Cultural exchanges were discussed again. But border tensions, political mistrust, and media antagonism remained thick in the air. And Trump? He left Dubai calling himself the peacemaker of the East. Love him or hate him, he had once again inserted himself into the center of a world crisis, and for now, it had worked. The India-Pakistan story is not new. It is a story of partition and pain, of shared languages divided by lines on a map. But what makes this chapter different is the return of a man from across the globe whose unpredictability may have paradoxically bought the world a little more time. Whether the ceasefire holds, whether Trump's influence remains, and whether the people of Kashmir ever find true peace, that remains a story still being written.